City is now under a tornado emergency. This storm is moving due east, and it looks like this latest storm that is redeveloped just west of Oklahoma City is now trying to reach the ground. The wall cloud is trying to go from the cloud base down to the ground, producing that tornado, which does look like a very powerful tornado. And again, South Oklahoma County is under, Oklahoma City rather, is under this tornado emergency that includes the airport. It also includes the state fairgrounds, where a parking lot of cars, as it's being described, is there right now. So we are going to continue to track this storm. Again, it is a powerful tornado just west of Oklahoma City, and we will continue our coverage now with Chris Hayes. Chris?
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Thank you for joining us. We have some breaking news tonight out of Oklahoma. A large tornado is on the ground near El Reno, which is about 30 miles west of Oklahoma City, which is where it looks like this storm is unfortunately headed right now. The tornado is reported to be a mile wide in diameter with multiple vortices. Tornado sirens are sounding in Oklahoma City and buildings are being evacuated. This less than 2 weeks since the Moore, Oklahoma disaster. Let's join the coverage of our Oklahoma affiliate, KFOR, in progress.
The hook is completely wrapping up. It may be a developing large violent tornado. So if you can leave South Oklahoma City and go south, do it right now. It's still west of I-44, but not by very much. Everybody down here, if you can't, we would really encourage you to go below ground, storm cellar, safe room, or basement. If you know anybody on your block that has one of those places, go over there and knock on their door and they'll invite you in. But do it now. Don't wait. If you wait, it may be too late. The door may be closed. They might be in their storm cellar. They won't hear you knocking on the door. Go do it now. Do it now. Don't wait for it to get any closer to you. We have to make the assumption that this is going to happen because there's a tornado emergency in effect for all of South Oklahoma City. And do that now, or get in your car and drive south. Go drive down to at least Central Moore and get south. Do it right now. Reed Timmer, Dominator 4, are you still there, Reed?
Yeah, I'm still here, and I'm looking at the wall cloud right now. Rapidly rotated wall cloud to our northeast. I would say it's probably just west-northwest of Will Rogers Airport, just a mile or two. Rapidly rotating, no confirmed ground circulation yet, but it could have suction spots. But it's a large organized wall cloud there. You can see it, light colored, and then there up ahead is where everything's wrapping around. So it's going to be a new circulation up to the east. It's right over the airport, too. We're catching it.
Power flashes at I-40 in Council. Power flashes, I-40 in Council. We have the tornado vortex at I-40 in Council. I see the tornado on the ground looking at velocities. It is on I-40 at Council right now, 100% positive, I guarantee it. On the ground right now.
75-mile-an-hour winds on the ground near it.
Reed, do you see that? Mark Dillard, are you there?
Yes, Mike, I'm here.
Where are you?
I'm at Council in Britain. I've had to come all the way in north of it to try to get around all the damage and power lines that were out at El Reno and Yukon. Right now, Mike, it's a driving rain up here. I'm going to try to get down to 66, over and in front of it, and get south of it to see any definition at all. But I have to tell you, Mike, the flooding rain is going to be another real problem.
All right, but wait a minute. We don't want to talk about that. All right, South Oklahoma City. Let's go to the North Doppler. Tornado emergency, folks. This may be a developing large tornado right now. I-40 at Council. That's I-40 in Council. Power lines. I can see the tornado vortex. It's on the ground. And also down, this is all of southwest Oklahoma City here. There's Whitewater Bay. There's State Fair Park right there. And it is now at 15th Street and Reno on I-40 right now. And there are power flashes there. So this is the tornado developing or on the ground. And I see a tornado vortex signature in the wind velocity. It's now 1 mile east of Council, so we're talking Rockwell and MacArthur at 15th Street South, I-40 and Reno, and even down to about 29th Street South, 29th, 15th, Reno, Rockwell, and MacArthur Avenues coming out of Council right now. Tornado emergency. It's moving due eastward. It appears to be on the ground. Reed Timmer, are you there?
Right now, we are heading east, approaching Council Road. We're about 3 miles west of Council Road, and northeast. We're going to go 44 north and try to get in the notch to get visual on this thing.
Okay. All right.
Down at 89th and Council.
Okay. So folks, you need to be in your safe spot wherever that is. Below ground, storm cellar, basement. Right now, the tornado vortex signature appears to be at Rockwell and South 15th Street. Rockwell and South, it is on the ground, there's no doubt about it. Rockwell and South 15th Street, it'll be traveling very close to I-40 or just a little bit south of I-40, but clearly it is on the ground right now, and it is going to be on 15th Street at Rockwell right now. Talking about Arlington Drive, Tiffany Drive, Enterprise Place, Will Rogers Parkway, West River Drive, Sycamore Avenue, 15th Street, 11th Street, Highland Boulevard, Charter Avenue. So Rockwell.
Bunch of restaurants in there.
A bunch of restaurants and Meridian Avenue. Yes, thank you, Steve Johnson, for that. All those restaurants on Meridian Avenue, on Airport Road there at I-40 Meridian, it's heading for all those restaurants. All those restaurants at Meridian and I-40 and just south of there, it's heading right for those areas right now. Reed Timmer, are you with us?
Yes, I'm still with you. We are still headed east on 152. We're just west of the airport. It's chaos out here. There's cars going everywhere. It looks like they're evacuating, which is good. They're getting out of the...
All right, still showing a tornado vortex signature now at Rockwell and 15th. Up to I-40, and it appears to have some size to it. It's going to be just to the southwest of Whitewater Bay, and it's going to be crossing Meridian Avenue here in about a minute and a half to 2 minutes at I-40. Let's go to the south Doppler and look at it. You can actually see the tornado. It's that little hole right there, that little hole. So this is Rockwell, this is MacArthur, this is Meridian, this is 15th Street South, this is Reno, this is I-40. Whitewater, say that again.
85-mile-an-hour winds estimated I-40 in Rockwell.
85-mile-an-hour winds I-40 in Rockwell, power flashes. Tornado emergency now continues. And U.S. Grant area, Southwest Integris up to the ballpark and downtown. State Fair Park. Everybody's in the arena below the bleachers at the State Fair Park. You don't want to be in your car when this thing is coming in. You want to be someplace way more substantial than your car. Abandon your car. If you are in your car, abandon it and go someplace more substantial. Right now we're showing it at MacArthur and 15th Street South. And the next mile over is Meridian and South 15th Street. That's where it's going here in the next 60 seconds. Meridian Avenue, I-40, down to South 15th Street. Reed Timmer,
Power flashes on I-40.
more power flashes, I-40 at Meridian.
OHP estimates.
OHP estimates that's where it is. I still see a tornado vortex on the ground. Reed, are you with us?
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Let's go to Mark Dillard. Mark Dillard, are you there? Mark Dillard, are you there? All right, who do we have here, control room?
How about Emily?
Let's go to Emily. Go, Emily.
Okay, we're 1 mile southeast of Union City, and we have this lowering. Josephine, pan it to the right a little bit. We've been watching this lowering kind of dance, and it hasn't touched down quite yet, but yeah, definitely a lot of rotation, and it could drop down into another tornado right now.
Okay, Emily, that is an update for the Union City storm out to the west, which also has a tornado warning. Let's go to Mark Dillard here live. He's tracking this tornado now going through 15th Street South at Meridian right now. Mark?
It's on the ground.
Yes, Mike. I'm on 66 trying to get out ahead of it again. I'm coming up to MacArthur. I'm coming through Bethany right now. Immense amount of rain on this wraparound trying to get that it's driving down toward the circulation area. Folks, basically south of I-40 and over toward I-44, you got to get down now. You got to get out of its way or down. This is the bottom line on this deal. It's a bad situation. I've had a lot of damage out on Yukon and El Reno especially. But, Mike, I'm trying to get out ahead of it again. I'm in the wraparound just on the north side of it.
All right, I still see it on the ground. It's at Meridian right now. Meridian Avenue on the south side of I-44. Go Reed Timmer. Are you there?
Yes, Mike, right now we are on Morgan Road in between Morgan and Council, headed east, northeast, and the power is out here. Everything is black. Can't see any cars everywhere. It's mass chaos. And I think I can see what looks to be a dark area. That tornado looks very large, wrapped in rain. And we are going to be heading east northeast to try to get in front of it and get it out so we can see it. But the power is out here. West of the power is out.
All right, Reed, appreciate that.
Problems, big problems. If you're in Oklahoma City, you've got to be underground or drop south. It might be too late. Just find a tornado shelter. It's a bad situation.
Reed, appreciate that very much. It is heading for Del City. It is heading for Tinker. It is heading for Midwest City. It's crossing I-44 right now. I would say that it is at I-40 and I-44 right now on the southwest edge of State Fair Park. I would say that it's right to the south of Mathis Brothers is where it is right now. And it's right in that immediate Mathis Brothers area. I think the vortex might be over I-40 on the south side of I-40, essentially at Mathis Brothers. Just to the south of Whitewater Bay, over Mathis Brothers right now is where this tornado vortex is located. I-44 is closed. I-40 is closed. You have to abandon your car if you're in the path of this tornado that is over.
All right, as you can see, we are following the developing story, breaking story right now out of Oklahoma. Just about 30 miles west of Oklahoma City, there is a large tornado that's formed about a mile wide. It is bearing down on the city of Oklahoma City, moving eastward. And joining us right now on the phone from Oklahoma City is NBC's Jay Gray. Jay, what is the situation there?
Well, I don't know if you can hear it, but the sirens going off again, and they have been every few minutes here. It turned pitch black in a matter of minutes in the downtown area, and a huge, huge wall cloud with circulation that we can see right now is hovering just outside the city, and the worst of it still moving in, as you've heard, and as everyone's been talking about here. The streets virtually empty, emergency vehicles out there. We have seen people running into the convention center to get down to an underground shelter there. A lot of the buildings evacuated here. Of course, that started earlier in the afternoon when the forecast looked promising for some severe storms. A lot of the businesses let their employees leave early, get back home, and make sure their families were safe. I can tell you, just looking down right now, I can see a line of trees in the downtown area that have already been pushed over, and the wind picking up. It's beginning to pull down here.
Is it too dark to be able to make out, or is the tornado too far from you now to be able to make out? Is it just a pitch black cloud hang over the city right now?
It is that. It's not too dark, but I don't think we're in a position to see the funnel, and I do think that it's still probably 30 miles away or so, so it would be very difficult to make out, especially with the sense that it's been rain-wrapped for most of the time, so it's wrapped in rain and hail. And that's beginning to move this way. We're starting to get some of that rain here and the lightning picking up as well.
Once again, the city of Oklahoma, Oklahoma City today, more or less evacuated, sirens going off. It sounds like there has been enough time, hopefully, that folks have been able to get into safe places, into underground shelters, out of the way. Presumably, you mentioned the convention center. There are some places people who don't have a place to go can go under these circumstances. Is that true?
Especially down here in the downtown area, several spots that are safe spots where people can gather that can hold a large number of people. So there are plenty of places to evacuate to, but the time for people who stayed downtown is running out, and everyone making that clear. Again, I'm just looking at the area down here, and I don't see anyone. I can tell you when the first sirens went off, and that was 30 to 45 minutes ago, we could see people physically running to get to these shelter areas. You could hear people saying it's time to get in, it's time to get inside. And so they've begun to do that. I should point out that we are definitely seeing a bit of rotation in this cloud right now, and we're beginning to get that pull, the pull from the wind that you feel as a system moves in. I don't, again, at this point, see a funnel on the ground, but I do see this cloud really stretched out and reaching toward the ground. So I don't know if we're just not to the point where we can see that yet, but it appears to be on its way.
Jay, we should note, since it's fresh on everyone's mind, the horrible disaster in Moore right by Oklahoma City. It is a different time of day than that tornado hit. It was anomalous, that tornado, that it hit during the day, much earlier than when tornadoes usually form, which is much more around this time. And so that means there's a little more lead time for folks to get out of the way, A, and B, schools are out of session right now.
Yeah, no, you make great points there. And you know, a lot of people had said that at the time of the Moore tornado, when it rushed through those neighborhoods and really just ravaged that entire community, that the timing was actually a good thing without regard, obviously, to the tragic deaths at the school, but that a lot of people weren't home, that they were at work and weren't in their houses at the time. This one much later. You're absolutely right. And giving people some lead time, some preparation time. We're in an area that obviously understands tornadoes. They understand the dangers involved with those tornadoes. And boy, we've just seen the lights go out in downtown, or in a section of downtown Oklahoma City. So a transformer apparently hit. It's an area that knows tornadoes, but not tornadoes to the magnitude that they're dealing with either in Moore or what appears to be happening here now. A lot of these tornadoes will strike, and they will strike in areas that are pasture land, that are farmland, and thankfully not affect any families. Not the case, quite obviously, with the situation in Moore, and not the case this evening as it moves dangerously close now to Oklahoma City. And again, we're just seeing those clouds continue to drop closer to the ground here in the downtown area.
That's NBC's.
That's not a good sign.
NBC's Jay Gray watching live as a tornado bears down on Oklahoma City. It is rather large, we are told, about a mile wide with multiple vortices, which means there are multiple possible twisters within that cluster. It is heading eastward towards the city of Oklahoma City. This just fresh off the disaster in Moore, Oklahoma, that everyone has been mourning for the last 2 weeks. We will continue to follow this. The streets of Oklahoma City, as you heard from Jay Gray, have been empty. Sirens have been going out. Local weathermen and news stations have been urging people to get out of the way of the storm or to seek shelter underground. We are all, of course, crossing our fingers that folks have been able to follow that advice. We're going to continue to monitor this. We have a correspondent who is right now underground, the airport, which has also been evacuated. We've been having a hard time getting a phone connection to her, so we will continue to monitor that. You see that on your screen here. It just so happens this evening we were set to discuss natural disasters. We were set to discuss natural disasters because the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration had predicted that this would be one of the worst hurricane seasons seen in a long time. In fact, tonight at midnight begins hurricane season, and all of us have disaster at the front of the mind, sitting here watching the Moore story unfold, and then today watching the weather map, the one that you see right there on your screen as the folks in Oklahoma City and the surrounding areas listen to the sirens warning them to seek shelter underground. And joining me at the table now, a gentleman that we had booked to discuss hurricane season, the warnings from NOAA and everything like that, is Dr. Erwin Redlener, who has written a book called Americans at Risk: Why We Are Not Prepared for Mega Disasters and What We Can Do Now. It is perversely fortuitous. I really genuinely hope that the folks in Oklahoma City are going to be spared any destruction. It's still possible that that tornado there avoids major population areas. Erwin, let's talk about tornadoes for a second before we get to hurricanes or any other kind of disaster, since that's what is front of mind right now as we watch this system move towards the Oklahoma City area. A few weeks ago, we were covering Moore. We had a man by the name of Paul Douglas, a meteorologist and a weather guy. And he was talking about, he made this point that all of us kept thinking about afterwards. He said, it's not that we're getting more tornadoes. It's not a climate change effect in the way that hurricanes probably are. But what it is we're developing out into areas through suburban sprawl, into areas that are more vulnerable, places that where a tornado would touch down, it would ride along farmland or empty land and then disappear, and no one would be the wiser, are now places where their people have houses. How smart are we right now about where we're developing in regards to things like tornadoes and disasters?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Chris. So the thing is that we are almost all of us living in some kind of area of potential hazard risk. There's like 90 million Americans who live over actively seismic areas where an earthquake is possible. Lots and lots of people, and more people living on the coast that are vulnerable to hurricanes. And we also have exactly what you're describing, which is lots of people living in suburban areas now, or even in cities that happen to be right down what they call Tornado Alley. Now, that would be maybe okay, but we're also not being very smart about it, because we have the situation that we saw in Moore, for instance, where only unbelievably, a small number of people actually have appropriate storm cellars. And what was worse is that we saw these schools that incredulously actually had no safe place for the children who were going to school there. And that was kind of unconscionable. So we recognize the fact that our population is growing, that there's climate change, that our infrastructure is fragile, but we're not even taking the smart measures that would keep people as safe as we possibly can.
So one of the things, before we get to that, because I want to stay with our eyes towards this storm right now, is the warning system. And one of the things that has been remarkable to watch, both in the case of Moore and right now as we were checking in on our local coverage at KFOR, is the relatively sophisticated and advanced ways in which citizens in Tornado Alley can get text updates, they can hear sirens. It seems like the institutions, infrastructure, governmental agencies we have and the scientists in place to warn are actually doing a pretty amazing job of staying on top of this stuff.
Well, all of that technology is most definitely getting better. And I think, but even with good warnings, you still may have only 15 to 20 minutes. There may be conditions changing in coloration in the sky, all sorts of other weather conditions that can be monitored very carefully and scientifically. But at the end of the day, and of course it depends on how fast the tornado is moving. They can move at 30 miles an hour or up to 70 miles an hour. So the whole issue of timing and warning makes us, no matter how sophisticated we're getting with the technology, needing to make sure that we have very safe places that we can get to immediately. You don't have time to wait or think about it.
And whose job is that? It sounds like there are some large public centers. It sounds like the convention center, and we were just on the phone with Jay Gray, saying folks downtown in downtown Oklahoma City who didn't have a place to go to the convention center. Whose job is it to figure that out?
Well, it's, let's think of it this way. If we actually lived in an area like that, there's multiple levels of responsibility. First of all, government should be having regulations out there that require dwellings, you know, homes, congregate centers, schools, and so forth, to have safe places for people who might be there. There also needs to be public places like we were just talking about. But at the end of the day, it's also citizens have a great responsibility here as well. If you have you're living with a family and kids, and you have your house built on a slab with no basement, you need to find some way to build an underground shelter so that if you're in harm's way, you can get out of the way.
But the issue there, the issue we saw in Moore, is that given the quality of the foundation rock there, and given people's fairly limited means sometimes, that is cost prohibitive, right? I mean, that was the issue in Moore. We talked to a number of people who said that.
Well, the cost prohibitive issue is certainly true with an individual homeowner, right? And on the other hand, the quality of the rock and the bedrock and so forth is not an issue. There are ways of dealing with that. But what's more concerning are the public spaces. So let's take the public schools, for which there's absolutely no excuse not to have a safe place for every single child, teacher, and staff to go down to if a tornado's coming.
Once again, if you're just joining us right now, we have a developing situation in Oklahoma, about 30 miles west of Oklahoma City. There is a large tornado bearing down on that city with multiple vortices formed. It is 1 mile in diameter at this moment. You can see some live shots right there as dusk is falling in Oklahoma City. We talked to Jay Gray, NBC News correspondent, who is in downtown Oklahoma City, who describes a scene that looks like a ghost town with whirring sirens in the background, streets empty, cars vacated. Folks have gone to get out of the path of the storm or have gone down into underground shelters. Folks with nowhere to go are congregating in public shelters, places beneath the convention center in downtown Oklahoma City. The weather reports and live news coming out of Oklahoma City are meteorologists warning citizens in the path of the storm to get out of the way or to seek shelter. It is moving very quickly, and we are going to continue to monitor the pathway of this storm. Here, we're going to check in right now with KFOR, our local affiliate in Oklahoma City.
Central down here and see what I got.
Yeah, it's in South Oklahoma City now. I think it's down around South 36th.
Yeah.
South 36th.
South of I-40. I've got wrapping curtains in the darkest section, Mike. You can see the darkest section back off to the south and east. Or excuse south and west from me.
I tell you where I think it is. I think it's near Southwest Integris right now. Southwest Integris is where I think it is right now. And I can tell you the circulation is quite large here. I don't know how large the tornado circulation could be, but the velocity signature is quite large, and it's over Southwest Integris right now. So it's definitely south of the ballpark, south of the Devon Tower. It's down around South 36th and Santa Fe and Western. Penn, Santa Fe, Western, South 23rd, South 36th, South 44th, St. Mary's, U.S. Grant. St. Mary's, U.S. Grant, all the way down. It's heading possibly for Crossroads Mall. Do we have Chase Thomason, by the way? We'll try to endeavor to get Chase Thomason here. He's in South Oklahoma City. And we'll see if we can get him on the Gentner here and talk to him. Say that again? Meg, Kev, what do you have here?
Well, we are following
got a lot of power outages, Mike.
22,000 people in the metro without power. We're being told that right now most of them are in Yukon, but again, that's a lot of people without power. We are looking at this right now. We believe there will probably be more as those reports do come in.
Getting reports also from downtown Oklahoma City, the historic district down there without power. Not getting any damage reports from South Oklahoma City, but as you heard earlier, there were damage reports west of the metro when that storm came through. In fact, on the highway, one of the highways there, 81, where a lot of the storm chasers were, there were flipped cars. We were told the Weather Channel was involved in some of that wreckage. Emily Sutton checking all of that for us, but it's been quite an evening once again.
Emily, way too close for comfort on that. If you saw her video from earlier when she was streaming and she said there was a car in front of her that she was worried about. We do know a Weather Channel vehicle actually was flipped and totaled.
Flipped.
I believe the crew's okay, though. This is serious stuff, though. There is no doubt. Also, traffic. We're having some traffic problems out there, people.
We need to go back to Mike real quick.
Let's go to Chase Thomason here. Chase is in South Oklahoma City. Chase, what do you have?
Hey, Mike, we're near the airport on Southwest 104th Street. Now, we had to get around some traffic because there's hundreds and hundreds of cars all over the road. We're getting slammed with some winds now, at least 60 to 70 miles per hour, probably RSD winds. We're on the south side of the possible tornado. It's definitely rain wrapped. We're encountering heavy rain, and we're trying to catch up because it's probably a few miles towards my east, and I'll let you know what I see as we continue to get closer. Mike?
Okay, it's definitely turning southeastward toward Crossroads Mall. It's heading down toward Crossroads Mall now. Let's go to Mark Dillard live. Mark?
Yes, Mike, I'm coming up to 29th and Central now, and it's obviously turned hard right on us here from the I-40 corridor going south. The darkest part of the circulation area is to my south. It's going to be coming, exactly as you said, it's going to be coming hard right to the Crossroads Mall area. Everybody on the north side of Moore now, over to Midwest City on the south side of the base, has got to take cover on this deal. The darkest section, I've got wrapping curtains now, but the most darkest section of what I can tell is on the ground circulation is going to be just south of me. I'm coming up to 29th and I-35 in just about 2 minutes, but it's going to be south of me, probably near the Crossroads area, Mike.
Yeah, it's on the ground down by Mount St. Mary's, and it's traveling down toward Crossroads, so it's down at 240. It's down at 240. It's turned hard right. In fact, it really dropped straight south. It's dropped straight south. It's 29th and Blackwell. There's the last confirmation we have of it on the ground. It has turned, it dropped straight southward. It came up to just west of downtown and it dropped straight southward. And that's where it is right now. I would say it's all the way down now to about South 44th and even all the way down to 240. 240 in Western, 240 in Santa Fe. Mount St. Mary's there, Crossroads Mall, even north, say that again, even North Moore. North Moore for sure. It is heading your way. So we continue to get confirmation on the ground. The last confirmation we had of a visible sighting of it was 29th and Blackwelder. 29th and Blackwelder, but it's turning hard to the right and it actually moves straight south. And I would say that it's on the ground now at 240 and Western. 240 and Western. It's going to travel into North Moore, Crossroads Mall, and it's going to go into North Moore if it doesn't, if it keeps turning the direction it's going right now. Mark Dillard, are you there?
Yes, Mike, I'm on I-35, and I'm heading southbound. I'm passing 36. I'm going to be coming up to 44th. And if you've got my screen back, I don't know if you got it or not, it's going to be just right in front of me. I haven't seen any power flashes yet, Mike, but it's the darkest part of the darkest part of the
Let's go to Greg Carbon now with the NOAA Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Greg, what are you guys seeing, and where is this tornado headed?
Well, what we've been watching for the last 2 hours is a massive thunderstorm complex, really, that has moved very little. And these tornadoes are essentially forming on the southern edge of the thunderstorm complex right along the I-40 corridor leading into the Oklahoma City area. And they continue to form and move gradually east and south, and we're seeing extreme rainfall as well as extreme winds associated with these occasional tornadoes that are developing. Still very difficult to see because of the rainfall occurring within the Oklahoma City area. Hopefully